Hey, Pam, remember this story about the litter boxes in schools that was circulating?
Yeah, that was so crazy. And I remember that people weren't sure whether to believe it or not. Are we going to analyze that today?
We'll see. We'll certainly analyze something. Hey, welcome to this courageous conversation. I'm Renee Hobbs, director of the Media Education Lab and one of the leaders of Courageous Rhode Island.
And I'm Pam Steager, Director of Public Engagement for Courageous Rhode Island. Thanks for starting this courageous journey with us.
Today's topic is why media literacy matters. And here's what we're going to be covering today. First, we'll define media literacy so we all understand what it means to be media literate and why media literacy education and the skills that it promotes are important tools for the prevention of polarization, extremism, and violence. Then we'll demonstrate what it looks like to critically analyze a media message, and we'll use the media literacy smartphone.
So let's start with the definition. I've always liked literacy for the 21st century, or a 21st century approach to education. But I know this is your favorite one, Renee, and it's a good one.
I like this one because asking critical questions about what you read, watch, see, hear, and play. Media literacy is really about remaining curious about the media we use, not being passive, but being active and leaning forward to make sense of all the different kinds of media in our environment today. So in a sense, it is a 21st century skill.
And curiosity is as important to us in Courageous RI as courage is. As we always say, stay curious, not furious. So what are the critical questions we should be asking, Renee?
Well, at the Media Education Lab, we put the critical questions into the form of a media literacy smartphone. And this smartphone can be used with any message in any medium. Here are the 5 critical questions. Who is the author and what is the purpose? What techniques are used to attract and hold your attention? What lifestyles, values, and points of view are represented? How might different people interpret the message? And what is omitted from the message?
And the flip side of our smartphone shows some of the various forms of media we can analyze with these questions, from news media, websites, TV and movies, to social media and video games.
And there's, of course, new forms of media being created all the time. I can imagine that ChatGPT is giving the who is the author question a whole new dimension for educators. The apps at the top of the smartphone provide some other themes or concepts to consider, like the stereotype alert button, or asking if the message is for private gain or public good.
I used to frame that as, is this message trying to tell you something or sell you something? But the lines between those purposes can sometimes become very blurry, right?
So true. Asking the 5 critical questions helps us understand messages more deeply and then appreciate how messages can be interpreted differently by different people. Now, there are many reasons why media literacy matters. But here are some of our favorites, right? One reason, of course, is that it's important to reflect on how media influences our attitudes and behaviors.
Yeah, and also because sharing our different perspectives through media analysis and discussion provides a genuine interplay of ideas in the public sphere and a better understanding of each other.
Exactly. We have certainly seen in our courageous conversations that being open-minded as a lifelong learner is super important, and watching and participating in practices that involve us in using reasoning and evidence to judge the credibility and quality of messages. That's an important role for media literacy.
Yeah, and let's not forget that these are also valuable skills for being an active participant and reducing polarization in our in-person and online communities and in the larger society.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now that we've introduced you to the remote control, we thought it would be fun to do a kind of analysis of a media artifact. And we picked this meme, right? And you and I, Pam, we'll talk through this meme using some of the media literacy concepts we've just introduced.
Okay.
So tell me about the media form.
So that's a meme I think this is a meme that made the rounds on social media with different words on the sign and in that bottom message. So who knows what the author is of this one? Is it the person who created the original image? The person who added those phrases? The person who posted it or shared it on social media? It seems the purpose of this particular version is stated in the words chosen to persuade people to slow down and take time to employ critical thinking in their busy lives.
Yeah, that's definitely the kind of main idea, but memes sometimes have more ambiguity to them. Like sometimes the symbols can resonate differently with different people. And even this meme might resonate differently with people who live in a city as opposed to people who live out in the country. Advertising uses ambiguity to appeal to large audiences. But when I look at this, I see kind of a social commentary. I'm looking at that values check button on the smartphone, Pam. I think there's some kind of social commentary in this message about the dangers of speed and everybody being in too much of a hurry all the time.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that question, are you a human doing or a human being? There's a kind of collage look to this meme overall, too. It looks sort of pieced together, like some lives, I guess.
Yeah. There's definitely an activist stereotype alert going off for me. Here's this guy dressed in black, very cool glasses. He definitely caught my attention right away. He's like a kind of a Neo in the Matrix, Sure, you want the red pill or the blue pill, right? He's a truth teller stereotype.
Oh, that is so funny. That shows our different eras that we grew up in. He reminds me of one of John Lennon's later looks. So that caught my attention right away. I guess both those guys were heroes of a sort, right?
In a way, both were courageous in their own way. And this guy in the meme is positioned as a hero too.
Yeah. So what's omitted? That's our last question. And this question is a good way to identify the point of view of a message.
Yeah, I see this message and I wonder, how would passerbys react? How likely is it that people will slow down? If this were a video, what would we be able to learn about how people are reacting to him on the street? But because it's a still image, we don't really know.
That's true. So here are our key takeaways for why media literacy matters. Media literacy involves asking critical questions about the media you use every day. Media messages are carefully constructed by the people who create them, and a wide range of techniques are used to convey meaning. Media messages have embedded values. Dialogue and discussion helps people recognize how messages are interpreted differently based on people's life experiences. Media messages are always selective and incomplete, and it takes time to critically analyze media.
It's so true. In a way, media literacy makes us slow down to think as we consume media. And these insights are really valuable for preventing targeted violence and terrorism because of the role of social media in deepening polarization and increasing the divides that create and intensify people's feelings of fear and hate. When we engage in critical thinking about media through dialogue and discussion, like what we've just done, we can find common ground by taking time to process our emotions when responding to messages that trigger us. Now, we want you to try to use the media literacy critical questions to analyze a TikTok video. And it might have something to do with furries. Just to note, this video features a bit of adult language. Hold on, I'm going to get it up on the screen for us, and then we'll watch it. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. I think you can see my screen now, right?
Yep.
All right, let's listen and watch.
Okay, so we have one of the wildest stories I've ever heard coming out of Rhode Island right now. And by reading this headline, you would think this is some big scandal, right? I mean, you make the call. Apparently, there's 2 kids in the North Kingstown, Rhode Island school district that are identifying as cats, and they have been given litter boxes in the bathroom. Keep in mind, this isn't some like satirical troll article by The Onion or someone. This is being reported by like ABC 6 News. This is where it gets weird. Superintendent Michael Waterman is saying, oh, this is false. It's a shame somebody would start this rumor about the staff and kids in the North Kingstown School Department. Meanwhile, the parents and the town councilwoman, Mary Breimer, who broke this report, are saying, no, this should be investigated and not pushed aside. Because apparently the parents are the source of this story breaking. Apparently there's a kid hissing at other students. And apparently from these 2 quotes, the North Kingstown School District is like marred in controversy. Apparently, I've never heard anything about it, but hey. And then we have a North Kingstown School Committee member, Jennifer Lima, saying in a statement that the NKSD is not providing litter boxes, but they will not comment on the whole cat thing. This is just, I don't know, man. There's mental health issues here. This is just, we just get further and further into bizarro world, and it has to stop at some point. So I don't fucking know, man.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay. So listen, use those critical questions of media literacy and have a great conversation as you critically analyze that TikTok video.
And have fun.